Welcome back to the afternoon session of the Law and Crime Network. As you know, I'm Linda Kenney Baden. I have been away for a week, and what a week I see we have had, and what a week we have coming up. We are in the case right now of Ohio versus Skylar Richardson. She is accused of the murder of the baby that she just gave birth to 2 days after her prom. There she is, seated in the courtroom. They are undergoing jury selection right now, the most important part of a trial, in my opinion. And I will be discussing this case with my guests here who are in studio with me. First, Janine, Atamian, we haven't seen each other for a while. You've been on a lot at the Law and Crime Network. Our viewers know you well. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And of course, my other guest who's seated right to the left to balance things out, as I would say, Gabriel Sepulveda, right?
Sepulveda-Sanchez, yeah.
Sanchez. And I haven't been on with you. I look forward to learning a lot from you about the case that we are going to have tomorrow and about some of the other cases, such as Robert Durst, which was had a hearing this afternoon. We'll be discussing that later on. And maybe if we have some time, we'll talk about the case that Law and Crime did last week. That was the case where a CSI investigator was convicted of murder, of killing a cop. But right now, let's go back into court where jury selection is taking place. Well, I am the lucky one because just as I come on, they are taking their afternoon break in Ohio in this very serious, very important, and I assume to my guests, let's start with Janine, what will be a very scientific, expert-laden case from both sides, correct?
It's going to have to be, yeah.
Why?
Because nobody knows what happened that day except for her. And so they have to put their experts forward to show, was the baby stillborn? Is there evidence that there was a murder that took place? So they're going to have to show something.
And Gabrielle, I always tell young lawyers that I'm teaching that jury selection is the most important part of a trial. That if you pick the right jury, you may be able to win the case. But if you pick the wrong jury, you are never going to be able to have them see your side because they won't respond to you. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I think this is the most important part. The questions they're asking, the goal is to get rid of bad jurors right now. You want people they're asking certain questions about, you know, just based on what you've heard about the baby being buried in the backyard. Is that going to prejudice? Are you going to have be prejudicial towards that?
Right.
And are your emotions going to get in the way of you analyzing the facts and the law? And you're giving a fair verdict in this case. So you're trying to get rid of bad jurors right now, and that's why you want to ask those questions.
Yeah, and Janine, you heard the defense starting. The baby, you heard that she didn't have to cut, Skylar didn't have to cut the umbilical cord, that the umbilical cord, according to the defense asking these questions, may not have been attached because they're asking the juror, right? Mr. Ritker's asking the juror, the defense attorney, if you heard that there was no umbilical cord attachment, what would that lead you to believe? Now, well, that's important, right?
Yeah, he's asking that. He's also asking about the burying of the baby. He's asking a lot of questions. And remember, they tried twice to have this trial moved because there's a lot of social media about this. This is a sensationalized case in a small town. There's two Facebook groups against her that are calling her a baby killer and putting out a lot of stuff about basically what her actions were.
Right, and do you think that's because that there is an appreciation for the child, or do you think that they may know this family and disappreciate anything the family could say? Well, I'm not quite sure how I make of this. You know, we all have animus if somebody is a killer, but we hope to keep it level at this point, right? So what's happening in the community? You know,
I came from a small town. I grew up in Stockton, California, and in small towns, everyone knows everything, and everyone knows who the big families are, and there's only a couple of high schools there. So I think it's a move for the defense to, you know, get this case out of that community and give her a fair trial. And I think it's a good move. They need to.
Can she get a fair trial with everyone knowing the family?
So here's the thing. I think it should have been moved, absolutely. I don't think she gets a fair trial. And going back to what you said, it is personal. So in addition to people feeling a certain way for this baby because it's justice for baby Carlisle, they're also talking about, oh, she got a car on her 16th birthday, her mother is... It's very, very personal, these attacks that are being played out on social media. So it's scary.
Gabriel, she named the baby Annabelle, right? Before the baby was buried, she said. And the parents have talked about the baby being named. Does it hurt or help that the baby now has a presence with a name as opposed to, as the defense attorney at one point during jury selection said, the fetus?
I think it hurts. I think the way you named it now, it's a person that we can all imagine. And I think when you label someone as they label it the baby or defendant, the victim, that kind of keeps it like a plain. And I think when you name it a baby name like Annabelle or a sweet name like that, what comes to mind when you think of Annabelle? I think of a young girl in her peer. So I think that hurt. I think by naming the baby, I think that hurt.
Wow, interesting discussion, and we're going to have a lot more discussion coming up in the weeks to come. But right now, we have to take one of those little teeny-weeny breaks here at Law&Crime Network. Stay with us on the afternoon session.